you to make me feel something today.
I'm trying, but this is the point where you always tell me to shut up and then you restart it so that you know what you're doing.
Good luck.
Today's recipe.
Hang on, I gotta cut.
How do you feel about sweet potatoes? Today's recipe is sweet potato pie because you cannot be raised in the South without having sweet potato pie at every single thing that you do. Church potlucks, holidays, your grandma's birthday, there's always sweet potato pie. When I think about sweet potato pie, the first thing I think of is my Uncle Joel, who hates sweet potatoes, and every beautiful little old lady in the South always tells him that they will change his mind with a sweet potato pie. And they never do. I don't know that I will either, but this is a really good sweet potato pie. It's really delicious. In order to achieve what I consider the best sweet potato pie, we are going to need a piece of sophisticated equipment known as a microwave, or as Nigella says, microwave. It is unusual for me to use a microwave, but I am gonna show you guys in a minute why we have this monstrosity up on my bench. We are gonna take this humble vegetable and we are going to highlight its flavors, and we're gonna have a delicious sweet potato pie. Please preheat your oven to 375. That is in Fahrenheit, not Celsius. Don't make that mistake. Set the house on fire.
What about Kelvin?
I don't even know who Kelvin is or why I care about him. Is that like a temperature thing?
Yeah, it's like a science temperature thing.
Oh yeah, I don't do science.
But all temperature is science if you think about it hard enough.
I don't like it. What we are going to do is what we've done in the past. Get your favorite pie crust. I will always have a recipe for you on my blog for my favorite pie crust. You can do store-bought pie crust, whatever makes your life the easiest. But we are going to take that pie crust and blind bake it, which just means we're gonna put it in the oven at 375 for about 15 minutes. It's gonna get nice and warm. Once it is nice and warm, you're gonna take about a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and you're just gonna sprinkle it on the bottom. That's gonna create a barrier between your wet sweet potato filling and the crust so it stays a little crisper. And it creates this like really delicious little layer. And that is a tip that I learned from America's Test Kitchen. I do want to shout them out because this tip and how to cook sweet potatoes are both from them. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not making any money from them. I'm just a big nerd and I'm a fan of what they do. So take your par-baked pie crust while it's still hot, sprinkle it with brown sugar. Now we're going to set this aside. Set it aside! I'm going to make that song. That's going to be a thing.
I wonder if people even know what we're doing when we do that.
If you don't know what we're doing, watch season 1. What's your deal? You just came in on season 2? You're missing half the lore.
You got hobbits all over?
There's hobbits everywhere. So the main ingredient in a sweet potato pie is...
Pie!
Sweet potatoes!
Potato.
Sweet potatoes. As you are prepping your sweet potatoes, go ahead and turn your oven down to 350. We got 2 pounds of sweet potatoes and our microwave. This is going to be the easiest sweet potato prep you've ever seen in your life. Again, shout out to America's Test Kitchen. Totally stole this from you guys. And it works so well. You have to do it. You're just gonna get a plate. We take our favorite fork, our sweet potato. And at this point, you will get out all the aggression you have against production. Directors. And husbands that don't make the bed right. It doesn't really matter where or how you prick them, just prick them a lot. What that's gonna do is allow the steam to release so that the sweet potato doesn't blow up in your microwave. It can happen, so be sure that you prick this.
I don't know how to handle you today.
I am completely unhinged. We've got the sweet potatoes. We've poked all the holes in it with our favorite fork that may or may not be stolen. And now we're just gonna pop it in the microwave. You're gonna do it for 15 minutes total, but in 5-minute increments. Now here's the thing. The beauty of television is this all looks nice for you. I can't see anything that's happening. So my husband/director is going to help me set this up for 5-minute increments.
Yeah, lower, no. You gotta come back. Okay, now just put it, all right, back. Go back, no, stop.
Honey, I don't know what you're telling me.
No.
I don't know what you're saying to me.
Here, okay, take the thing, yeah, bring it down.
Yes?
Okay, and then put it in the microwave.
That's what I was doing.
Okay. You were like bouncing up against it.
Because I can't see. I can't tell.
It's okay, I'm supposed to be guiding you, so it's all fine.
This needs to go to 5 minutes.
Okay, so put it to 5 minutes.
I can't tell what it's saying. I don't know where I'm at. No, but like literally, okay.
There it is.
That's the only way I can see it.
I'm a good helper.
Do you need to relax? Is your husband driving you crazy? Turn on the microwave. The only thing this microwave is used for is to melt candy coating and bake sweet potatoes. And sometimes heat up my baking assistant's lunch. That's all it's used for. So we're just gonna wait. And there's the ding. Flip everybody over. Set it for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, you just turn it that way to 5 minutes.
I got it. The tall 90s girl dance. Man, there's just like no way to fill this time.
You want to show them some things? Some things around your kitchen?
I made this. It was my first embroidery project. I had to Google the French knots, those were confusing. But yeah, I made that.
What else you got for the people?
Let's see. I have an old school pie alarm. I have a sage bundle, which I've never burnt, which I think says a lot about this episode. I have this rose at one of my first markets. This little kid got really embarrassed and his mom goes, give it to her. And he just hands it to me, doesn't say a word, and like runs away. And I kept it and dried it, and that's my rose. I also have this. This is what happens when you buy sweet potatoes but don't film your episode and then go on vacation and then come back and it's a magical purple forest that I haven't gotten rid of because it's pretty.
You better plant that thing.
I'm gonna plant it. I'm gonna grow some sweet potatoes. That's like a lot of my stuff. I have some cool stuff around here. All right, so it's gone off. It's been 10 minutes. We are going to check the sweet potatoes. Grab your fork. See how easily that fork goes in? These are ready. Be careful getting it out of the microwave. It's hot. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a little serrated knife. We're gonna cut each one right down the middle and let it cool. It doesn't have to go all the way through. You're just cutting it open to release some of that steam. Just pop it open. Ooh. Make sure that you have
Fingers.
Make sure you have like pot holders because these are hot. All right. So we're gonna let those cool, and while we let them cool, we are done with our microwave. So begrudgingly, I'm going to say goodbye to it and replace it with a food processor with no help. I'm gonna do this one myself.
You sure?
I got it.
Okay.
Can you unplug it for me? Oh, it's still warm. Oh, it's still warm. All right, so we've let our sweet potatoes rest for a while. They are still warm, that's important, but you can actually handle them, also important. We are going to take a food processor. Now, if you don't have a food processor, you can actually whisk this by hand, mash it by hand. You can also use a stick blender, whatever you have, food mill, it all works. So I'm gonna take my little sweet food processor here. You're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of butter. Room temperature, cold, it doesn't matter because the sweet potatoes are hot. Oh, my hand. I am a texture person, and when I touched the butter expecting it to be solid, it was not because of the lights, and I had a very visceral reaction to that. So if you are like that, keep a spatula handy and use that spatula to put your butter in here. Because maybe you don't like how that feels. So we're gonna take 2 tablespoons of butter, pop, right in. Spatula optional, depending on if you have texture issues. Now we're gonna take our sweet potatoes. They are cool enough to handle, but aforementioned texture issues caused me to use gloves.
Watch Elisa Marie have a total nervous breakdown over sweet potato pie.
Like today's the day. Like this is the day it all comes out. Shout out to my therapist. I'm gonna use a spoon to help me. Basically what we want to do is just peel the skin off. You can also just scoop it out. You don't have to take the time to peel it by hand. Just get the peel off, however it happens. And if all the peel doesn't come off, who cares? You are still valid as an individual. And if your aunt brings it up while you're at Thanksgiving dinner, she doesn't come to next year. Uninvite her, not allowed. We're just gonna get as much as we can. Take the skin off, boom, boom. Sweet potatoes in the food processor. with the butter, and we're just gonna let it, mutilate's not the word. Food processors process, and we're gonna let it do that.
Why is this episode like a war crime?
I don't know, man. I'm just taking these pieces and making sure everything's down here because we want it all blended. The recipe calls for 2/3 cup of milk. We're gonna go ahead and add it to help this puree happen. 2/3 cup of milk. Oh yeah, there we go, there we go. Next step is, it's a pie. We want it sweet, let's add some sugar. We have got 1 cup of just regular granulated sugar. That may not seem like a lot, but don't forget that we've got that layer of brown sugar on our pie crust. So we don't wanna make it overly sweet. We also are adding, for spice, a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. One of my biggest complaints, my personal complaint about sweet potato pie, is you get a sweet potato pie and it just tastes like a pumpkin pie. You can't tell any difference. They've added so much spice. So I'm only adding a little bit of nutmeg to enhance the flavor and the warmness, but this is gonna taste like sweet potatoes at the end, and you're gonna love it. So we've added that. We're gonna give that a couple pulses. Oh yeah, that is looking good and it's smelling really great. And now we're gonna start adding a little bit of flavor. No matter what I'm doing in baked goods, I always add salt because it just enhances the flavor. It may sound counterproductive, but if a recipe has salt in it and you don't put it, you're gonna miss it. So go ahead and put in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Not very much, just to enhance everything. The other thing I really like to add is molasses. So I'm from the South, molasses isn't everything, but it adds a really deep flavor without like overbearing the sweet potato. I use regular unsulfured for this recipe. We're only using a tablespoon, so if all you have is sulfured molasses or the really thick blackstrap molasses, it's still gonna be fine. And if you don't know what any of those things are, maybe you were raised in the North. The last thing we're gonna add is a teaspoon of vanilla. So that's all of our flavorings. We're just gonna let this whir around until it's starting to look smooth, and the last thing we're gonna add is our eggs. When you're doing it backwards, it helps if you put things in the right place. Oh God. All right, while it's still going, we are going to add, this is what makes the pie. So far, all you have is a flavored sweet potato puree. Adding the eggs is what's gonna make it a custard pie that's going to actually hold it together and let it be a pie. You're gonna do 3 full eggs, 2 egg yolks. See how smooth that's getting? We're gonna do one final thing that's just gonna take this over the top. You see me do this a lot in recipes, so I'm just gonna show you. So we're gonna add some orange zest. One of the things I like to do in my baked goods, specifically my pies, is to add some sort of citrus zest. It's gonna be that one little thing that just kind of kicks off your taste buds. You don't have to do it, but anytime I'm doing a custard type pie, I always try to add a little bit of zest because it just cuts through everything. It also allows it to not be cloyingly sweet. I know that sweet is a big thing here in America, especially in the South, but the older I get, the less sweet I want things and more flavor I want things. I'm gonna put it on for one last whir now that we've added that orange zest. And that was just the zest of 1 orange. Do I not know how to work this suddenly? Oh my God. Listen. If this episode comes off weird, I don't know what's going on today. I used a microwave, mess with my brain. Once you figure out the food processor.
For the 3rd time.
Just pulse it a little bit. You're done with the food processor. Just get rid of it, throw it in the trash. You don't ever need it again. Grab your par-baked crust. What you're looking for is just for it to set up. As you can see, we just baked it for 15 minutes. We've got the brown sugar layer on the bottom, which is gonna create a nice little layer in our pie. you're done. Put the pie together and get it in the oven. That's how fast this is. All you gotta do is pour it right into the shell, right over the brown sugar. You're gonna fill it up about this much because the eggs are going to cause it to puff up a little bit. That's your pie. She's beautiful. What I like to do, and what I always recommend to do, is to go ahead, have a sheet pan with a piece of parchment on it, and that's what you're gonna put your pie on. Because if anything overflows accidentally, it's going to land on this sheet pan and not on the bottom of your oven, and you have to clean it later. So we're gonna pop this in the oven, 350, 35 to 40 minutes. So let's get this in the oven. All right, so it's been about 40 minutes, and this is your beautiful finished pie. Do a good size piece. Look at that. And you see that layer of brown sugar down at the bottom? That's just a tasty little treat. And look how pretty that sets up. You are going to impress everyone in your family. It's gonna look pretty, they're going to be impressed you made a pie, and it's gonna taste unbelievable. That custard is so smooth. It just melts in your mouth. It's not overly sweet, but that little layer of brown sugar at the bottom just kicks it off. The orange zest that we put in lifts it up. Oh man. It doesn't taste like a pumpkin pie. It tastes like a sweet potato pie, which is exactly what we want. That crisp crust that we took the time to par bake absolutely is the perfect texture against this smooth custard. You have to make this. Make it for Christmas. Make it for New Year's. Make it for your birthday. I don't care. So good. I do have a confession. There is a whipped topping that you purchase in the store that I am a rabid fan of. It doesn't matter how nice the pie is or how fancy it is, I want a little bit. So I just went ahead and made sure I had a little. A little whipped cream, a little chantilly cream works perfect. And where I come from, this is a standard serving for a piece of pie. Now this pie is so delicious, I'm only gonna put a little bit on the side and have it with it. Get it from a can, get it from a tub, make it yourself. Just really sets off the textures and the flavors. It's just the perfect accompaniment. That is so delicious. I hope that you are having a wonderful holiday season. I hope that you make this pie. I hope you share it with your family and friends. And I hope they love it, and I hope you love it, and I hope that this holiday season is going great for you. And I've got some more recipes for you guys before the end of the year, so we're gonna hit Christmas, don't worry. But try to make this pie, and don't forget the schmulhip. Do the pool trip, pool trip.